Have you ever wondered why some habits just stick and others, well, they just don't? Today, we are diving deep into James Clear's incredible book, Atomic Habits, to really unpack the powerful framework behind building good habits and, maybe more importantly, breaking the bad ones.
So, to really get a handle on the power of atomic habits, we have to start where James Clear did. We have to go back to this single devastating moment that completely changed the entire course of his life.
I mean, that quote right there, it's just a shocking way to begin a story, isn't it? A classmate took a full swing. The bat somehow slipped from his hands, and it flew right into Clear's face, striking him square between the eyes. He had absolutely no memory of the impact itself.
And look, this was not some minor accident. We're talking catastrophic injuries here. A broken nose, multiple skull fractures, two shattered eye sockets. He then started having post-traumatic seizures so severe that doctors had no choice but to place him in a medically induced coma just to stabilize him. The recovery, as you can imagine, was just brutal. Months and months of physical therapy, serious vision problems. And then, a year later, came the ultimate humiliation. He was the only junior cut from the varsity baseball team. The sport that had been his entire world was gone. This was his rock bottom.
And this is where everything changes. When he got to college, he made a decision. He was going to stop chasing these huge, overwhelming goals. Instead, he decided to focus on tiny, almost ridiculously small, daily habits. Things like keeping his room tidy, getting to bed early, improving his study habits. Little things that gave him back a sense of control. This personal discovery of his led him to a really powerful principle. One that, it turns out, had already transformed an entire sport. The idea of getting just 1% better.
Okay, so let me introduce you to the British cycling team. For nearly 100 years, these guys were, well, they were a running joke. Completely mediocre. It was so bad that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe actually refused to sell them bikes because they were afraid it would damage their brand. But then, in 2003, they hired a new performance director named Dave Brailsford. Brailsford's whole strategy was what he called the aggregation of marginal gains. It sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. If you improve every single thing you do by just 1%, you'll see this huge increase when you put it all together. And they got obsessive about it, redesigning bike seats, rubbing alcohol on tires for grip, hiring a surgeon to teach them how to wash their hands properly. They even found the perfect pillow for each individual rider. And the results? They were just staggering. Only 5 years after Brailsford took over, his team dominated the 2008 Olympics. Over the next decade, they went on to win 178 world championships and 5 Tour de France titles. It's widely seen as the most successful run in the history of cycling, and it was all built on these tiny 1% improvements. So, what does a 1% improvement really add up to? Well, the math leads to this pretty surprising number, 37 times. But 37 times what exactly? This is the magic of compounding. If you can manage to get just 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. But, and this is so crucial, you have to look at the flip side. If you get 1% worse each day, you decline almost all the way down to 0. Small habits are a double-edged sword for sure. Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? But we all know it doesn't always feel that easy. In fact, most of the time, our early efforts feel, well, completely pointless. And this leads us to what Clear calls the valley of disappointment. Let's just be honest for a second. Have you ever started a new habit? Maybe you went to the gym for a month straight, only to look in the mirror and see, basically, nothing? It's a universal feeling, and it is the #1 reason we quit. So here's the problem. It's our expectations. We think progress should be linear, a straight line going up. But in reality, the most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are always delayed. Your work isn't being wasted, it's just being stored. And that frustrating gap, that space between what you expect to happen and what actually happens, that's the valley of disappointment. This quote from Jacob Riis just captures the whole idea perfectly. In fact, the San Antonio Spurs basketball team apparently has this hanging in their locker room. Think about it. It wasn't the final 101st blow that broke the rock. It was all the 100 that came before it. Your big breakthrough moment is just the result of all those previous actions that felt like they weren't doing anything at all. So, if sticking it out through that valley is the key, how do we actually do it? Well, Clear argues that we need a fundamental shift in how we think. We need to move away from goals and focus on something way more powerful, our systems. Okay, so what's the difference? A goal is the result you want to achieve, like, say, winning a championship. A system is the process that gets you there, like what your team does at practice every single day. Goals are great for setting a direction, but it's the systems that actually get you there. And think about this. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. It's their systems that make all the difference. And this right here, this is one of the most important lines in the entire book. It means it's not about how ambitious your goals are. In the long run, your progress is always going to fall back to the level of your daily systems. So the most crucial thing you can do, build better systems. But you know what? There's a level that's even deeper than systems. And for me, this is the most profound, most powerful idea in the whole book. The best way to change your habits is to stop focusing on what you want to achieve and start focusing on who you wish to become. Think of behavior change like it has 3 layers, kind of like an onion. On the very outside, you've got your outcomes, your results. In the middle, you have your processes, that's your systems and habits. And then at the very core, you have your identity, your beliefs, your self-image. So here's the mistake pretty much all of us make. We start on the outside. We start with the outcome we want. I want to lose weight. And then we try to figure out the process. But true, lasting change works the other way around. It has to start from the inside and work its way out. It has to start from your identity. There's this great example in the book. Imagine 2 people who are offered a cigarette. The first one says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." See, their identity is still that of a smoker who's trying to change. But the second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's such a small shift in language, but it points to a massive shift in identity. One person is still fighting their old self, the other has already become someone new. So the real goal is never just about the action itself. The goal is to embody a new identity. You don't just want to meditate, you want to become a calm person. You don't just want to write a novel, you want to become a writer. Every single action you take is like a vote for the type of person you want to become. And that leads us to a final, really important question for you to think about. Every tiny choice you make, every 1% action you take today, it's not just a task on a to-do list. It's a vote. It's evidence you're providing to yourself about who you are. So take a look at your day. Who are your habits telling you that you're becoming?